Hello, and thank you for attending SAGE Alerts and Workflow video-based training. Please note that this is video-based training, and content is for training purposes only and intended for new and existing SAGE Alerts and Workflow customers.
Hi, my name is Jane Nichols, and today we are going to talk about the count function in query design for aggregate queries in the Alerts and Automation solution. Aggregate queries are different than record-level queries and value change queries. Aggregate queries get triggered by a group of records collectively meeting certain criteria. Today we are going to design a query that counts the number of sales orders by customer for last month and checks to see if the total sales dollars are greater than X dollars. Let's begin by clicking on the application you wish to create the aggregate query in. Today I'm going to use the ERP application, so I'll click on the arrow in front of that, and then the queries option, and then I'm going to select the new query button to open the query designer down below. We'll go ahead and give a description for this query as customers' sales orders last month greater than X dollars. We'll go ahead and hit Tab and mark the query as active. Next, we need to click on the Columns tab and select the tables that we will use to retrieve our data. I know that I'm going to need the order header table, which stores the customer information. So I'll go ahead and hit the plus sign to move it over to the selected tables area. And then the second table I'm going to need is the AR salesman table. And I'll go ahead and do the same by clicking on the green box with the plus sign to move it over to the selected tables as well. Next, we need to choose the columns or fields for this query. The first column is the field that we are performing the aggregate function on. So we're going to count the number of sales orders. Typically, we want to choose the unique ID or primary key of a record in a certain table. So in this example, we want to count the number of sales orders, and the primary key is the sales order number. So we're going to start our count aggregate query by selecting the order number from the order header table. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the blue box with the arrow to the right to open up the columns of the selected table. And I'm going to go ahead and look for the order number. Once I find it, I'm going to click on the green box with the plus sign to move it down into the selected columns area. Let's change the column type by clicking in the field and clicking on that drop-down arrow and selecting the count function. At this point, if we click on our preview tab, we would hope to see a total number of all customer sales orders in our system. And that number here, 9,000, looks like that's what it is. So we need more detail than this, so we're going to go back to our columns tab, and we will be counting the number of orders. So let's change our customized name. I'm going to backspace after I click in the field, and we're going to call this order underscore count. We will also want to count the number of orders by customers, and we need the customer name. So I'm going to click back up here in that columns of selected table search field. I'm going to backspace to remove my text, and I'm going to key in the word name to find the field, and here's my bill to name. I'm going to go ahead and select that by clicking on the plus sign in the green box to move it to our selected columns area. Next, we need the total sales dollars for our orders. So again, up in the columns of selected table search box, I'm going to go ahead and remove the word name, and I'm going to key in TOT underscore DOL to find the total dollars field. Once I do, I'm going to go ahead and click and move it down to our selected columns area. Now here is where I'm actually going to do another aggregate function. So I'm going to click on that column type for total dollars, and I'm going to click on the drop down arrow, and I am going to select the summarize function. And I'm going to give this field a name. I'm going to click in there and backspace to remove, and I'm going to give it a name of sales underscore total. So now, if I click on the preview button up here, we now see the number of orders by customer and the total sales of those orders. So now we're getting closer to our desired results. And since we might want to notify the salesperson about the total number of sales orders and the sales total by customer, we will need the salesperson's email address. So we need to add one more column to our query. So let's jump back over to our columns tab. And the salesperson's email address is in our salesperson's table. So we're going to come over here and click on our salesperson's table and click on the blue arrow or the blue box with the right arrow. And I need to remove the text from the search column. And I'm just going to key in the word email to locate the correct column. So once I do, I'm going to click on that plus sign in the green box, and it moves it down to the selected columns area. We will continue by linking the tables by salesperson number using the query linking wizard. So let's click on that links tab, and the first table we're going to go ahead and select is that order header table. So I'll go ahead and click on that. It'll default already since we only have the two tables. It's going to put the AR salesperson table in there. And the column name that we are going to link is the salesperson's number. So we're going to select this from the order header table. And I am familiar with the field name, so I'm going to go ahead and key in SLSP, and I am looking for the salesperson's number. Once I find it, I select it. And then I click in the link to column, and I know the name of the field in the AR salesperson's table is HUM, and here it is, it's HUMRES underscore ID. I select that. I will keep the left outer join default and select the plus sign in the green box to join and link these tables together. Now we are ready to specify the criteria under which we want this query to retrieve to count records for the last month's time frame. So let's click on that Filters tab. And we need to select the orders for last month only. To do this, first we will select the order date field. So I'm going to go ahead and click into the available columns to filter search field, and I'm looking for the order date. Once I find it, I go ahead and double click, and it moves it down to the column selected for filtering area. We will leave the default is. In the operator field, we're going to go ahead and click on the drop-down arrow and select the greater than or equal to value. Then move to the compare value field and select the green box with the 3 white dots to select the date substitution variable. In this case, we are looking for the first day of the last month. It's important to know the date format for how the dates are stored in the database that you are working in. I know that the dates are stored in this ERP as month, /day, day, /year, year. So I'm going to scroll down a ways here, and I am looking for the last month start date in the format that I just mentioned. So here I have last month. Last month start date in the format I just mentioned. So we'll go ahead and double click. It moves it up into the value from the drop-down list, and we say OK. Next, that second filter will be the last day of the last month. So we're going to go ahead and select the order date field once again. We'll leave that default as is. This time in the operator field, we'll hit the drop-down box and click on the arrow, and we want the less than or equal to value. And for the compare value, we'll go ahead and click on that green box with the 3 white dots again. And we are going to select the variable that indicates the last day of the last month. So we're going to scroll back down here. And we are looking for the last month end date. And we need that specific format that we mentioned. So here it is. The month, day, Y. So I'm going to double click to select it and click OK. From here, I can click on the Preview tab to test the results of our query. And I see the number of sales orders placed by customer for last month, and it includes the sales total for those orders. But we have one more step left in the design of this query. We want to retrieve those customers who have placed orders with sales dollars totaling greater than some number during last month. This is the greater than X in our query description. So when we want to perform a test on the aggregate result, for example, we want to test the total sales of sales orders. That is a sub-filter. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that sub-filter tab. We are going to say that the sales total for customers is greater than a certain number. So we're going to go ahead and select that total dollars field. We will leave the default as is. And the operator, we are going to go ahead and click in the field, click on that drop-down arrow, and select the greater than option. We want to make this a parameter-driven filter, so we're going to leave that question mark in the compare value field. Next, we'll go to the optional prompt, and we are going to key in sales orders totaling more than some number with a question mark there. Now we will give this query a final test and click on the preview button. The pop-up window comes in, and so I'm going to go ahead and say we want sales orders totaling more than $1,000. And next I will go ahead and click on the See Preview button, and it brings results with one record with an order count of 12, and it has our sales total, which is over the $1,000 that we put in. Please remember that when designing an aggregate query, you can use multiple aggregate functions within the same query, just as we did here. So we are now done designing the aggregate query. I'm going to go ahead and click on the green Save button. And this concludes our discussion of the count function in aggregate queries of query design for the Alerts and Automation solution. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you for attending SAGE Alerts and Workflow video-based training.